Our presentation today is on employee empowerment. What is employee empowerment? Employee empowerment is the practice of providing organizational members with explicit authority to solve problems and make decisions. The effects of employee empowerment are accountability, higher capacity for performance, more initiative, more involvement, significant level of fulfillment, and a high level of loyalty and dedication. When employees are empowered, they are held accountable for the results and impact of their decisions. An increase in decision-making process increases the organization's ability to manage performance. Empowered employees are more skilled and involved, productive than non-empowered employees. Empowered employees experience a significant level of fulfillment, which translates to a high level of loyalty and dedication to the organization. Some techniques for employee empowerment are sufficient training. Employees are empowered when they're adequately trained to meet the performance expectations. Effective delegation. Employees should understand why a task is being delegated to them. Expressions of confidence. A confident employee is mentally equipped to meet the demands of their job's responsibilities and is more productive. Cross-training. Providing employees with access to training in different departments enables them to view the organization from a bigger picture. Adequate resources. Organizational members need sufficient resources to effectively navigate problems. Appropriate levels of authority. Employees are empowered when they are granted autonomy and authority in the manner in which their tasks are being carried out. Just as with techniques, interventions are also necessary for helping to empower employees. Employee feedback, whether it's individually or in a team setting, through interviews or through employee surveys, roundtable sessions, increasing communication between leadership and employees, using collaboration to improve communication is always effective. Managing conflict, recognizing conflict, being proactive with conflict, and addressing it immediately. And building team relationships, such as team building activities, lunches in the office, and taking opportunities to build relationships outside of the office, such as having a bowling night or a miniature golf night. Workplace stress and its impact. Stress is broadly defined as the manner in which the human body responds to challenges, pressure, or tension resulting from adverse circumstances. There are several challenges that an individual will face each day. High levels of stress in the workplace adversely impacts productivity and interpersonal reaction. It's really how the stress is managed that determines how productive an employee is. There's several sources of stress. A lot of times it's managerial pressure, wanting to make sure that they meet the demands of the job and meet the expectations of the employer. Work overload, maybe taking on a little bit too much in a small deadline. Long hours, certain times of the year, maybe extra hours are required to work on special projects or meet certain deadlines. And also unrealistic expectations that maybe the employer has set for the individual or that the individual has set for themselves. It's all about identifying those sources and looking to resolve them. Managing workplace stress. So there's several different techniques that individuals can use to manage stress, whether it's in the workplace or in their home life. Some individuals benefit from tracking the situations that are creating the stress, maybe checking out their patterns and collecting the information over a period of time to see what their sources of stress are, and identifying those and making corrections to their daily routine or certain times of the day, whatever it is, and developing healthy responses. Maybe if they are recognizing that it's a certain time of the day that they're experiencing the high level of stress, or when they're working on Excel spreadsheets, or just, if they're able to identify and pinpoint those specifics that are the stress causers. Establishing boundaries from the beginning with other employees is important. what's acceptable for one individual is not acceptable for another, and somebody may think that a joke is appropriate for this person, and it's really not. So establishing those boundaries but maintaining respect the entire time is important. Taking time to recharge. There are people who never take off, take vacation. They work extra hours 365 days out of the year. And sometimes it's important to take some time off and regroup, especially if you're somebody who is just overworked and working long hours and taking on a lot of big projects. It may be time to take some time off. Talking with the supervisor is also helpful. Maybe the supervisor can identify ways to manage stress that you hadn't thought about, or maybe there's something that the supervisor can do to help assist with managing the workplace stress. Maybe the supervisor is a cause of the workplace stress, and so they will be able to receive some feedback and open up those lines of communication between the employee and the supervisor. And then, as always, there's support, whether it's through coworkers or it's through your employer, such as like an employee assistance program. Never feel afraid our employees should never feel afraid to reach out to somebody if they need some help. There are several services that are offered, and employees should utilize them. Just communicating that they're even available, because many employees don't even know that they have those things available to them, is important. So some recommendations for methods of employee empowerment is some training and developing on interpersonal communication. Anytime you bring together people from different backgrounds or different organizations, there's going to be some kind of challenge. There are several elements to improving interpersonal communication skills, such as emotional intelligence, which is the ability to identify and manage individuals' emotions. It is a critical element of interpersonal skills. If you don't have that, it's very difficult to manage relationships. Empathy, understanding the perspective and opinions of others, and truly understanding it, not just agreeing or agreeing to disagree, to truly put an understanding of this is your viewpoint versus mine. And also self-awareness, understanding your own behavior and how you interact successfully with others is important. And so doing some type of training and developing with our employees and discussing interpersonal communication skills and ways that we can improve that would definitely be important. Also, employee empowerment intervention, interviewing and questionnaires. I would think that the best way to go about that would be to do individual interviews with employees, get feedback from them, get an understanding of what they're looking for, how they're feeling with this merger, and also doing a roundtable session with several members of the team. And also there's the third option of doing online surveys in case somebody doesn't want to talk. It could be a survey that they do without having to say who they are. So that's another option. Also, ensuring that we're managing conflict, we need to be able to be proactive, recognize areas that could potentially become a problem, and addressing it immediately, not ignoring it, no matter how minor it is. This is a tough time during the merger process, so we want to make sure that we're handling all conflict promptly. And then team building, as discussed earlier, is coming up with some type of team building activities to allow our employees to get to know each other and build those relationships. If they have good personal relationships, their working relationships will be just as good. So building those relationships, even in an out-of-office setting, whether it's a bowling night or some kind of dinner or even a miniature golf night, as well as having employee appreciation days in the office and some type of luncheons where they can take their mind off of work for a few minutes and actually build those relationships.